I'm David Silverberg from Toronto, and I am artistic director of the Toronto Poetry Slam, which is run by Toronto Poetry Project, our collective. Spoken word, of course, has been around since ages, but we in Toronto have been trying to kind of galvanize the community and create a big momentum shift towards spoken word and poetry slams, which we've done in 5 years. We can say unabashedly, our events sell out at the Drake Hotel. We started a youth slam for kids, just for 12 to 19-year-olds, and we've gone to schools doing workshops and performances more steadily than ever before. And now we're touring, trying to bring the Toronto Slam team to other venues and cities so that other cities can hopefully get inspired. The spoken word I've seen, at least here, is sometimes social justice oriented, but generally it's about personal issues, family, could be about sexual abuse. There's very low barriers to entry to go to a poetry slam. You can just show up at 7:30 and be on the stage half an hour later in front of 160 people. So that's very empowering to a lot of people who are compelled to share something really important to them, whether it's their own story of triumph or something more general like environmental damage or the truth about aspartame or the importance of City Hall politics. I got into it back in '98 when I was running a suburban spoken word up in North York, Batherton Steeles. I was just always passionate about writing, and then when I found, pretty much by accident, the page poetry scene in Toronto, I got turned on to the spoken word scene just by association, and then started my own series where I used to live up in North York with my parents at the time, and that ran for a good 3.5 years, and that got me really acquainted with the spoken word scene and the reading series and somewhat the literary publishing community. I think the spoken word scene is important for the larger arts community. I'll go there because I think it's an art form that is very visceral and raw and often misaligned and underappreciated. And anything that thrives in the grassroots needs to find an outlet to reach the right kind of people. And I think spoken word finds those outlets pretty easily. The only thing is people have to find spoken word. It's not going to find you. It's one of those kind of art forms. So you got to dig around to find spoken word, but it definitely is an impacting art form in the community or in someone's life. I guess I've always liked it because it's honest, and I like honest art forms, whether it's theater or movies or music. I like when, I guess, artists are not trying to put on a mask, but trying to be as straight up as possible about their emotions and their stories. And I always think a good story is still based on good writing. And I've seen a lot of great writing in spoken word, a lot of bad writing, but a lot of great writing too, that has made me feel like our community in Canada is very strong, and that it's not just performative based always, but it's rooted in telling a good story, using le mot juste, as the French say, that really perfect word to clinch a scene or to bring someone there. And it's not lazy writing, because you'll get that instant feedback from the audience and then from the scores that you're not pulling your weight. I would say a good story, kind of with our scene that made me feel like our community has really came together early on, was at the first Canadian Festival of Spoken Word. We did some guerrilla poetry in Ottawa, and that was poetry out on the streets, us doing poetry in front of people, streetcar stops. We went to Rideau Mall because we thought that would be a good idea, do some poetry in a mall, wake people out of their consumerist tendencies, go to the food court and do poems about fast food and bottle water. And we did that, and it was weird and awesome, and felt like a protest as well. And one of our poets, the only poet there who was black, incidentally, got up on a food court table and started doing his poem about the evils of bottled water and peak water. And the security came. Long short of it, they were very upset that we were in the mall. and they told our friend Leviathan to stop doing his poem. He supposedly said he would finish when he's finished his verse or something, and might have swung his arms and some water bottle was in his arms or in his hand, and they thought it was a weapon. So they tackled him, put their knee up to his neck, held his hands back, and arrested him and told us to leave. So we left, chanting songs as we were waiting to see what would happen with him, like, let our people go, or something, kumbaya. And so it was a nice moment, but the best moment came when we all went back to the National Archives to talk about what happened. Leviathan came back and said he wasn't charged, but he got a ticket for disturbing the peace of $150, I believe. And almost instantly, we all started coming up and giving him like a toonie each at the table he was sitting at when he was telling this. And we started to pay his ticket off just individually by, 70 of us giving a toonie each. It was easy. And that was a good sign of our community was starting to pull together and not leave each other in the lurch for something that we knew was pretty baseless and cold-hearted. And Leviathan was brought to tears with that. He did a poem thanking us in one of his poems on finals night, and that was the first ever Festival Spoken Word. So that almost was the beginning of our community spirit and made us feel like we're helping each other out.